Good morning. We call to order the November 12th Cape Fear Public Utility Authority board meeting. So we have a quorum present this morning, and the only member we're missing is Mr. Hackney. Need a motion to excuse.
I'll make that motion.
Let's say, all in favor?
Aye.
Next, we need an adoption of our agenda for today. Motion to adopt, second. All in favor?
Aye.
And then next on our agenda, the approval of our minutes from our October 14th meeting that are in your packet.
So moved, this is Jonathan.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Any public comment section? Do we have any speakers? No. Okay. We'll move on next to our 2020 annual report presentation.
Good morning. Good morning. The annual report presents a unique opportunity for us to look back at the year, get a sense of how we did, and also get a peek into the future. And I can say, looking back at the year, we faced many very unique challenges this year. But without exception, the staff of this organization stepped forward to provide the services that are so critical to our community. And they did that under many difficult circumstances and sometimes under very scary circumstances. And as we look forward, I am extremely optimistic about where we're positioned as an organization, our role in the community, and our ability to continue to provide services to a growing community. Just a quick review of some of the top projects where our focus, of course, was on water quantity and also water quality. In terms of quality, our Sweeney water treatment plant is under construction with a project to improve its ability to filter certain contaminants. In terms of quantity, our project to add a redundant and second raw water line in the area that had capacity limitations is also under construction. So we've made great strides to ensure that over the long term, our community will have a secure source of the best quality water available. And we also did work at the Richardson plant, our groundwater plant, to make sure that that was operating at its peak efficiency as well. This year, we launched UMAX, our customer service software, provides new ways for our customers to interact with staff, and it also better equips staff to help customers with their problems. We also, as everyone did this year, adapted to the challenges brought to us by the pandemic. And I can say that staff has done an excellent job recognizing what our role is in the community, recognizing the work we do along with the board. We did suspend disconnections for non-payment and have been working with people to get their accounts current. We have since begun disconnecting for commercial accounts, but our residential accounts are not disconnected at this time for non-payment. And we are launching in January a new program to not disconnect people as they're working to get their accounts current, but to just simply restrict the flow so that essential water use can be continued as they work to get their accounts current. Through all of this, our net position increased by almost $25 million this year, and you'll hear more about that from our CFO later in the meeting. Sweeney is our flagship water treatment plant. It's our largest and does a fantastic job of filtering and cleaning water, but it was never designed to address PFAS. So we are in the process of constructing additional filters that will soon give the plant the ability to filter PFAS and other contaminants that we see in our raw water. The project is under construction to build those 8 deep bed contactors for the granular activated carbon. Just to give you a sense of scale and some context, we did remove 4,500 yards of soil. That's about 450 standard dump trucks of soil was removed for the excavation. Put in over 400 micro piles, and that seems like it might be pretty easy because that was a green field before we started. But beneath that green field were remnants of an old plant. So they were working around other improvements that were still below grade, trying to get all those deep piles installed. And they did just a fantastic job of understanding where they were and working around those obstructions. Underneath the filters themselves, we have over 500 feet of pipe. And this is also an area where the storm drain system for the overall facility was located. So that had to be rerouted as well. All these things happening in a short period of time out at the site. Right now we're ready to start installing the slabs for this and then start building the vertical walls. That's our next step and look forward to that. And overall, we're on schedule to be operational in early 2022. Could you advance the slide? Thank you. Another project that we're partnering with Brunswick County to fund is a new raw water transmission main. This is a 54-inch pipe, total length of over 13 miles. It's under construction as we speak. And this will add additional capacity and also redundancy to our system to allow raw water to be conveyed from Kings Bluff to Sweeney. Overall, we have about 40% of the pipe is in the ground and about 35% of the pipe has been welded, tested, and ready to go. They are moving along very quickly. And this, you can see from the photo, it's not an easy place to work. They're out in remote locations. It's hard to get equipment and materials to some of these areas, but they're doing fantastic. They also had to bore beneath a large rail yard in Riegelwood while the yard remained in operation. So a lot of technical challenges, a lot of construction challenges, but they have stepped forward and the contractor has done a great job. And we're very happy with the progress. We're currently under construction at Livingston Creek, which is a wetlands, low-lying area. And I've had projects out there and it's an extremely difficult place to work. And we're installing aerial pipe through there, which means it's above ground, and that's underway now. We've also made significant investments in our system elsewhere. One of the major ones is Pump Station 10, that's off 23rd Street near the Love Grove Bridge. And that was originally a pump station that was built in the 1960s. It was one of our largest ones, and it's been rehabbed several times over the years, and it had served us well. But it did need to be replaced, and that is now up and running. We're in the process of removing the old pump station, and with a separate project, we built a new force main from there to north side. So one of our key pump stations has been fully replaced and upgraded with a new modern pump station that will allow us to will serve us well for many, many years. At the Richardson water treatment plant, we also replaced the membranes. They had been in service for 12, 13 years, and it was time for them to be replaced. And staff did an outstanding job of timing all of that so that it didn't happen during the peak months, but we now have a new set of membranes in the plant, and they will be there hopefully for another 8 to 10 years. We also completed the Northern Water Mains project. That's one that's been on our books for several years, and that will extend water up toward the Castle Hayne area, up near GE and around that area. This will provide a lot of capacity for growth in an area that has a lot of interest in growth. So we're very excited about that. It's about 5 miles of 16-inch pipe was installed along the roadside and through overland areas as well. So no small feat. And of course, our focus is always on our customers. And the bar chart shows that in March, we had a pretty big uptick in the number of phone calls we took with our customers. And that's just about the same time that we temporarily closed our office for face-to-face business and started doing more of our communication over phones with our customers. Since then, that's come down to the more typical range as the office has opened back up. As I mentioned previously, UMAX, our customer service software, is up and running. It's allowing more ways for our customers to pay their bills, more ways for them to interact with us, and also better equip staff to help our customers. We did temporarily close our offices in March for a period of time as we changed our business practices to deal with the implications of the pandemic. And one of the projects I'm real excited about is the payment kiosk that's now in our lobby at our main office, where people can come in, find out information about their accounts, make payments, all remotely. It's an ATM type machine. So we're looking at, as we gain more experience with that, hopefully expand those machines around, put one downtown in our lobby there, and potentially elsewhere around the county, so that people have more convenient ways to pay their bills. We're also concerned about affordability. As you can see, compared to the median household income, stacked up to our peers, we're pretty favorable. But the question that we're working on now is that good enough? Is there more that we can do as an organization to make sure our critical essential services are affordable as they can be? And there's some good work and some exciting things that will be coming through the Sustainability Committee and over the next few months and onto the board that I think will give us an opportunity to answer some of those questions, perhaps change the way that we charge for the services we provide so that the essential use that people have for their basic needs can be even more affordable than it is. So look out for that in the future, something I'm excited about. And the year to date, through the end of October, we had received about $10.8 million worth of infrastructure that had been conveyed to us by developers. And this is a good sign. This means that as development and growth are occurring in our service area, those people have access to the centralized water and sewer services that we provide. So a positive sign that we can be there to help facilitate the growth, allows for more density and some of the other land use issues that people are looking at as areas to grow become more and more scarce. We're also concerned about our impact on the environment and helping to understand and reduce our impact on the environment in many ways. We are a big consumer of power. All of the pumps that we run, all the facilities we run use a lot of power. Understanding how we use that power and looking for ways to reduce it in the future will allow us to reduce our impact in the future. One of the projects we did pilot this year was a hybrid electric vehicle, and we found it to be very successful. It's been serving staff well, and because of the success of that project, we've been able to move on and hope to purchase 2 more vehicles by the end of the year and continue to expand that program as we replace our fleet. Greenhouse gas emissions, something that we're working to understand as well. We have inventoried where we generate through power consumption, other areas, greenhouse gases. And that's the first step to understanding what we use, how we use it, and it will give us opportunities to reduce it in the future. So look for a lot of exciting things coming out of these initiatives. And we, like everyone else, adapted our operating and business practices to the pandemic. Our goal through all of this was to keep our staff safe, keep our customers safe, all the while providing our community with the essential services that they need. And I could say that staff did just an outstanding job of doing that. The professional people in this organization, under difficult and changing circumstances, stepped forward and met the needs of our community. One of the ways that we did that was to go to remote work where we can. A lot of our services have to be done in person and can't be done remotely, but where we can, we're working with people to stagger shifts and let them work remotely and reduce exposure. With that, we can be more confident that we can maintain the continuity of our business. When the pandemic began, we did shelter our water plant operators at the site to reduce exposure and make sure that we had a healthy group of operators keep those plants running. We've since then rolled that back. And we're not doing that, but it was certainly a step that we thought was necessary and gave us the confidence level that we could continue to provide those services. Where we do interact with people, we've put up barriers to keep them distanced. We're having people wear masks, our staff, our customers, all again to keep us as safe as possible. And as you're well aware, we did suspend disconnections for people who were struggling to keep their accounts current. Since then, we have reinstituted that for commercial accounts. But beginning in January, we will look at a flow restriction program as we work with customers to get their accounts current, where they can have some level of water flow to keep sanitation and health going, but also give them the incentive to bring their accounts current. So we look forward to launching that in the spring as a creative way that we can work with our customers through these difficult times. This is a snapshot of our finances. Obviously, most of our revenues come from our water and sewer services that we provide. And on the expenditure side, it shows that we continue to invest those dollars right back into our community, into our debt service, which is paying for those projects such as the pump stations and the large diameter pipes that are so expensive to build are paid through debt that we issue, and paying that back is a big portion of our expenditure, along with our operating expenses, our salaries for our staff, and also our capital projects, again, investing in our system and investing in our community. Copies of the annual report, the written report, are in front of you. It doesn't capture everything that we did, but it captures the highlights. And I certainly want to recognize Vaughn Haggerty and Cammie Bellamy, who worked so hard to pull together the annual report, work with staff to understand the work that was done and bring it together in the professional report that we have. I'd also like to recognize the 300 employees of Cape Fear Public Utility Authority who do such an outstanding job and are the finest group of people I've had the opportunity to work alongside. I'd also recognize the board for your work through the year. The board has been engaged and has provided us guidance and direction and leadership, and we certainly appreciate that. And all of these pieces working together allow us to continue to provide our services to our community. I can say I'm very optimistic about what lies ahead in our future. We are positioned well to meet the needs of our community. We're positioned well to do that in an economical and affordable way for our customers. And I'm very excited about where we're headed as a whole and look forward to seeing that evolve over the next years. With that, staff or I would be glad to answer any questions you may have now, or if later you have other questions, reach out. We'll be glad to work with you as well. Thank you.
So,
we were able to get trailers on site pretty quickly, and they had temporary connections for water and sewer and power. Now that we've done it once, I'm pretty sure we could get it to happen pretty quickly. What we don't have a contract for is the trailers themselves. They were rented from local businesses, but they were pretty readily available, and we'll certainly monitor that. And if it looks like we need to keep staff on site again, we would certainly go in that direction. Yes. Thank you.
thank you, Jim. I think just to interject quickly, I made some notes early on, which you handled, but I think it's really remarkable that the Public Utility Authority continues to make these sound financial decisions, trying to keep the best ratepayers in mind and meet the system needs, improving all of our existing assets that we're obviously having to do, providing the best water and sewer service that we possibly can, continuing to improve our customer service with our customers, alongside all these things that we've been dealt with, which on top of the services that the staff already does, we're having to now be the forefront of the PFAS research. We're having to deal with something that has been caused upon us by chemicals, and then handling the pandemic on top of that, and still having such a great annual report is really remarkable. And so I think to Christy and John and you, Jim, and everybody, Vaughn, everybody that comes together to make this happen is truly remarkable that is all able to happen, especially in these times. So I think that is, I think that needs to be said. And I know we all appreciate it, and the board has been great to support all these initiatives, but it's really remarkable to do all that, especially in these times. So thank you. So with that, we'll move on to our consent agenda for today. We have 9 items on the agenda. Entertain questions or motion to approve?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? You move on to our administrative reports. Linda, attorney's report.
I do not have anything, nor do I have a closed session. Happy Thanksgiving.
Thank you, Linda. Executive Director's report, Jim.
Thank you. The key indicators, environmental report and safety report are all in your packet, beginning on page 68. If there are any questions, staff, I would be glad to answer them.
Any questions? All right, move on to our committee reports. Executive committee met on November 4th. The minutes are in your packet. Long-range planning, Mr. Sneeden.
Yes. We received a very good presentation from animation concerning the administration input work that's taking place. And we suggested that we have a presentation.
The information is in the packet. We did not prepare a presentation for today. We certainly can. And one of the things that came out of that discussion also was the visit to see some of the pipes being lined, so that's underway. But we can certainly bring a presentation back to the board on that in the future.
Yeah, I think that we did decide that you did know that how it authority is doing very good work with reducing I-9, which is basically the leakage into the sewer system. I believe the number reported that for every gallon of that I-9 that the cost of reducing that infiltration into the system is about 25% of cost of building capacity to do that. So very important. I think a good thing and saving the authority a lot of time. So I would rule from the area like we just had. Please put it in the presentation. That's it.
Thank you, Larry.
Mr. Chair?
Yep.
Yeah, thanks. I'm sorry, I missed it. I just want to go back one item to the executive committee. I apologize. I was looking at something else and we jumped over it. The question I had was, requesting more information about the town of Riceville Beach, their decision that they will not use any more water in calendar year 2020. There was a lot of discussion about this about a year ago or more. How are they going to get the water for Wrightsville Beach? Do we have any further detailed information? It seemed to be a critical situation not that long ago.
Right. Of course, they're like us, demands tend to go down in the winter months. And my presumption would be that they would simply use their wells to meet their needs for the next 2 months. But they did hit the annual limit of 45 million gallons. And their decision was simply not to take water from us and go over that limit.
Has there been any improvement in their well production?
I couldn't answer that, but I can certainly find out.
Yeah, I feel like there's a missing something in that conversation, because again, it was almost, no, it wasn't almost, it was an emergency situation not that long ago. And it's not something that sounded like was going to get any better with their current infrastructure. And I thought we, as an organization, did absolutely the right thing and stood up and offered them at extremely reasonable rates, good, clean water. And I was just curious to see what had changed that dynamic. We've done our part. And I know that, they're not required to tell us where they're going to get their water. But if we had any other information on that, I'd certainly be interested.
I'll certainly reach out and get an update from the town.
Great. Thanks, Jim. Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Yes, sir. Thank you. Finance Committee, Ms. Adams.
The notes from the
Yeah.
yes, no? No. Cool. No. Cool.
Well, the next is November 4th Finance Committee traffic for review. We've got a monthly traffic update from
Good morning.
Yeah.
Okay, so just very briefly, here's a look through the first quarter of FY21, and our expenditures have exceeded our revenues to date. That's this piece right here by about $13.6 million. And that's due to both expenditures exceeding revenues on the capital and the operating side. From the capital side, what this number represents is the spend down of bond proceeds that we received last year. That's the expenditures related to the GAC enhancements at Sweeney and the new raw water line. And as far as the operating side goes, that's really just a timing difference, again, due to that large debt service payment in August. And that should, kind of correct as revenues are collected through the rest of the year. And just a quick look at our revenues. This is that rate revenue variance that we look at each and every month. And you can see that for water, we're seeing some outperformance compared to our budgeted estimates, both in terms of ERUs right here, and also in terms of consumption per ERU, this number below it, and that's resulting in outperformance compared to the budget for water volume charges and fixed charges. On the wastewater side, we're seeing some slight outperformance here in the total number of ERUs, and just some slight underperformance here in our consumption or usage per ERU, and that's driving this volume number just slightly below where we'd expect to be at this point during the year. And so with that, I'll answer any questions you might have.
Mr. Chairman, this is Jonathan Barfield. Quick question in regards to the reduction in wastewater volume. What do you think is driving that? Would it be the fact that people have separate meters for irrigation or something else?
Right. So the difference between the consumption per ERU on the water compared to the wastewater side, yes, I think that's due to irrigation usage. That's not metered or not billed for wastewater. I think that's that spread that you're seeing.
Thank you.
Mr. Chair. Thank you. John, I know you've been working over the last several years in trying to get our undesignated fund balance down to that $50 million mark. And I remember from the Finance Committee report that you gave that through some hard work and a lot of talking, a lot of it with me, you've done an excellent job of bringing us into what I would call a soft landing or very near to that. Could you expand on that? That's a huge milestone for this organization.
Sure. So this is kind of in conjunction with an item that's coming up later, but we did some analysis. I can certainly speak on it. We did some analysis, a few years ago, did some policy work, and part of that policy work was really trying to hone in on a fund balance number and a cash reserve number that really made sense, right? We obviously didn't want to take money from our customers and not deploy it. But we also wanted to hang on to a sufficient amount that would protect us if we had some type of unanticipated, expenditures or some kind of revenue shortfall. And then also an amount that looks attractive to the credit rating agency. So we came up with this target of $50 million back a couple of years ago. We started with an undesignated fund balance number of something around $120 million. And over the past few years, we have been spending those funds down on our capital program, investing those funds in our infrastructure. And so I guess over the past few years, we had a lot of room to work with, right? And now that we're spending that down, it's just very important that we're monitoring our cash flow and our expenditures, our PAYGO funded expenditures for our capital program, so we don't go below that $50 million. That's exactly right.
Thank you.
Okay, there's no more questions on the monthly financials. Christie's got a real brief update on a customer service. We thought it was important to update the board once we've resumed disconnect. So brief update on that.
Good morning.
Good morning.
Wait for the slide to pop up here. All right, as Mr. Fleckner had indicated, we did start the disconnect process for our non-residential customers. Beginning at the October the 5th, we sent out the notices to those customers advising them that they had the 2-week period to pay before those disconnections would take place. And again, then every day since that time, we have been creating those disconnect notices. So initially we had sent out on October the 5th, 477 notices. That number, when it came time to actually do the disconnects, we were down to 173. Of those, 51 remain disconnected at this time. Again, you can see in each subsequent week how many notices were sent out and then how many disconnects actually took place. So to date, or as of the writing of this particular slide, we had done the 179 and then the 41 were scheduled for Monday. So that number always is going to change. What doesn't change are the notices that are sent out, right? So once those go out the door, then those are set. But as the payments come in, then that will then dictate how many disconnect notices or disconnects actually occur. So the disconnect dates may also vary just slightly if the customer does request an extension, but other than that, the disconnects are taking place without any issue. Now, with regard to the residential accounts, we will start the pilot program in January. There is, additional information that will start coming out regarding that program. To date, we have just over 5,300 residential accounts that would qualify today if we were to start that process. And the average bill amount for those customers is right around $440.
How much? I'm sorry, I missed the last.
Around $440. And that could be anything from just over $100, up to several $1,000s. So that average, does play a lot into that.
Question? Thank you. Christy, of these non-residential disconnections, do we have any idea how many of those are apartment buildings and how many are, mom and pop shops, etc.?
None of the ones that are currently listed as being disconnected at this time are apartment buildings. So these would all be could be a restaurant, could be, a regular storefront retail store, but there are no apartment complexes included.
Thank you.
Mr. Chairman, this is Jonathan. Can you give me an absolute number of how many of these are currently disconnected? Trying to follow the flow here.
Sure. The ones that are actually still disconnected are the 52. In addition of the ones that received the notices on 10/26, that was 41. There would be an additional number that would be included as being disconnected at this time. We did do those disconnects this week. So potentially 92. 93.
Disagree.
Christie, I might have missed this. Are we offering these folks payment plans?
For non-residential accounts, we offer extension, but not payment plans.
Oh, extension.
Correct.
Christie, could you speak to whether some of these accounts have consumption and potentially are not open for business?
Sure. So what we always monitor once a customer has been disconnected, whether or not there is consumption after the disconnect. But looking at the ones that are currently disconnected, the majority of those did not have consumption before the disconnect took place. So they were already closed or maybe had been closed as part of, the pandemic, or just simply because they were no longer in operation.
Any additional questions? for Kristen? Thank you. Thank you. All right, the next line item we had for Finance Committee was a decision on the operating surplus for the previous fiscal year. John's got that.
Sure. And thank you for teeing off the conversation, Commissioner Zappel. Our beginning undesignated fund balance in FY21, or the ending for FY20, is around $61.4 million. We have worked with the engineering department and project management to come up with an estimate of the extent to which we will spend PAYGO funded appropriations during this year. That estimate, when we met, was around $28 to $29 million. If you back out of that the $18 million that's coming in from ratepayers during the current year, that leaves a hole of about 10 to $11 million. So layering that on top of that 61.4, subtracting 10 or $11 million, we're right at that $50 million mark. And so if we were to take out this approximate $5 million in operating surplus that's currently in there, that would likely push us below to around $45 or $46 million. So we are consequently recommending that the FY20 operating surplus remains in that undesignated fund balance. And I'll answer any questions you may have.
I was happy to see the surplus. It's always nice, but doesn't that give us some idea of what our rate how our rate should change this year? Seems like we were maybe just a little bit high on monthly bills.
Sure. So there was a couple of things that led to that surplus. It was all revenue outperformance, but so you had some outperformance in the SDCs. I think the spread between what actually happened and the budget was over $2 million. Now we did some work this year to really try to forecast the number of ERUs that would be assessed that SDC. And so far it was in the finance presentation in that revenue budget to actual slide. I didn't address it, but we are right there with where we budgeted. So we have caught up that difference. We were also pretty aggressive. So on the other side too, there was some outperformance in our water and our wastewater revenues. And we were pretty aggressive in the development of the rates for FY21 and really kind of pushing the limits where we still felt comfortable on the growth in customers. So to your question, I think that we have adjusted for that. Yeah, it certainly was factored into the development of the FY21 rates.
Have we seen that yet? I don't remember.
What's that?
Have we seen what the 21 rates are going to be yet?
Oh, back in June.
Okay, I don't remember.
What was adopted for FY21, the year that we're currently in.
Okay, thank you.
Right. Kevin, it was no change for next year.
I'm sorry?
No change.
No change.
for next
Yeah, I just want us to keep that in mind, that it's great as an organization and we come out with a surplus, but we're taking money out of folks' pockets and we got to keep as sharp a pencil as we can on it.
But on the same side, if people had used exactly the amount of water and wastewater that we budgeted, we wouldn't have had no surplus. So it's
Well,
both sides of it.
all budgets are guesses. You're doing this, how much water? I just want to keep it in mind when we set a rate.
And let me clarify that too. Ms. Adams is right that we didn't increase or decrease rates from FY20 to FY21. But, our expenditure needs certainly did increase. We had additional debt service. So, absent those other things, rates would have gone up. And so the fact that, we basically avoided having to take rates higher by factoring those things in.
John, I'd just like to take just a moment to commend you for the work. This is the result of several years of listening to this board and responding to the pressure that we put on you to kind of tighten up our forecasts and our budgeting process. And even though it's taken several years, I think you've accomplished that. And that's a great credit on your part. It looks like we're in a terrific space at this point. So thank you for your continued work on that.
We need a motion for this, right? Correct?
Motion to approve.
Second.
All in favor?
All right.
Okay, our last item is the presentation of the 2020 CAFR audit. The John show again.
Last but not least, okay, so before you is the comprehensive annual financial report for FY20, also known as the CAFR. The CAFR presents background information on CFPUA that allows our stakeholders to get a full financial picture of our finances, and that includes some information to get an understanding of the environment in which we operate, obviously to assess the financial results for the year, including the basic financial statements and the related note disclosures. And obviously, lastly, to assess trends, there's a statistical section that shows some trends in our relevant financial, economic, and demographic data. So it's kind of this comprehensive look at our finances. And I went into some detail on the results and kind of the format of the report for the Finance Committee. But I'll keep this presentation a little more brief. Basically, there's two big takeaways from the CAFR that I wanted to share with you. The first is, as Jim mentioned in the annual report presentation, that our financial position improved by almost $25 million during FY20. And that was due to our continued PAYGO funded capital investment and also the revenue outperformance that we just talked about last year. And then the second thing is we received clean opinions, both in terms of the financial info that's presented and also in terms of compliance with state and federal regulations that apply to the state and federal financial assistance that we received during the year. So very, very, very good news. And with that, I'll answer any questions you might have. Thank you.
Good job on a very clean audit result. Always nice
Always
for
nice.
that, for the team and
Always good.
and the organization. Thank you. That's it for finance.
Thank you, John. Thank you, Jim. That's the end of our agenda for today. Any old business, closing comments?
Mr. Chair.
Yes, Mr. Upton.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I just, we went pretty quickly through the dashboard portion of the executive director's report. I just wanted to put a small spotlight on a terrific bit of news that our employee turnover for this past month was at 0.00, which to me is a tremendous reflection on the management and the stability of the organization. And they deserve congratulations up and down the executive leadership team. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Mr. Upton. With no closed session, I'll take a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Second. Thank you all.